All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise to you. How about Shimmy Al Shabraka Thumb? Where is my phone? Where is my phone? Welcome. It is the open panel. Open panel. Y'all hit the link. You can hit the link. You got my phone?
Huh?
You got my phone? What you want?
Oh, can you open this bottle?
Oh, go grab my phone for me. Oh, I got my phone. Man, you can't open it.
It's hard.
You gotta keep trying. Open panel, y'all. Open panel, you can hit the link. We are taught to hate cops. Let's talk about it, man. Tyrese Nichols. And our attitude about cops. Our attitude about cops. Where do we get an attitude? You know, F the cops. F12. Let me see if I can put this thing on Facebook. F the police. But then at the same time, do we need the police, huh? Do we need them? Would you want a community that wasn't policed? Would you want to live in a state or a country where there were no police? Do we need the police? Are the police necessary? These are questions I have. And like I said, there ain't no wrong answers. Hold on, let me share this thing. There's no wrong answers here. I just want us to see where we get to thinking from, because what we watched with Nichols was basically Black on Black crime. You watch Black on Black crime. Somehow we've separated the police where they're not even humans. They're something else. They're they're not black, they're not white, they're not really human. They're another entity. Just like soldiers. Soldiers aren't civilians. There's a separation there. I think there's a separation also with the police where, a lot of people seem to have a hatred for them. We don't want our kids to grow up to be police. We're not going to buy our kids. See the generation now, you ain't going to see your kids asking for no police car. You're not going to see a child on career day leaving saying, well, I want to be a police officer when I grow up. Why is that? What's wrong? What's wrong with being? We have a lot of brothers and sisters within Israel. We got a lot of camps within Israel that won't allow you in the organization if you are a police officer. If you are a police officer, you're going to have to leave the organization. Why is that? Why is that? Some people go hard on Bishop Nathaniel because, you know what, he used to be a police officer. All IUIC is police officers. What's wrong with that? What's the hatred? What's the reasoning for the hatred? This is what I want to get together. This is what I want to talk about today. What's the reasoning for the hatred? Why do we have such hatred for police officers? Especially if we ain't doing nothing wrong. Why wouldn't we want, to be police officers? Why wouldn't we want our brothers and sisters to be police officers in our neighborhoods if we ain't doing nothing wrong? A lot of us won't even invite the police officers within our family to certain occasions. We'll have a barbecue. We're inviting everybody except that joker who's a police officer. Why is that? Hold on, I'm just trying to share this thing on Facebook. But yeah, we got an open panel, y'all. We got an open panel. Let's talk about it, because we need to find out where the reform needs to start. We need to find out, where does the reform start? I know we're initially saying, well, it's the police. It's the police. But what we seen on that video, you didn't need a police uniform or a badge to do that. Hello. You don't need a police badge in a listen. You got Bloods and Crips to get inside of these gangs. You got to be beat in. Where that culture? That's part of the culture. Part of the culture to jump in to hate each other. Like, where are we getting this from? To have that self-hatred. I seen Ricky Smiley talking about it, and Ricky Smiley was saying that, that brother must have did something personal to him. It must have been personal, like he slept with his girlfriend or something. The way they were talking to him. But that's the same because that's the same dialogue we have with each other when something is personal. When something is personal, when somebody sleep with our girlfriend or go behind our back and steal from us and something, when we punching and kicking them and stomping them and beating them down, we had that same language. We had that exact same language. That's why we knew we felt the hatred there. Where did the hatred stem from if these people never met each other? Where did the hatred stem from? Is it that as soon as he got the job, he started getting hated? People start separating from him. Why do people hate righteousness? Why do we got the Amos 5? They hate those that rebuketh at their gate. They hate correction. They kill the prophets. They stone Stephen. They kill Christ. And we know this thing was unjust. We're not here to justify that. These people should be, definitely should be locked up for the rest of their lives. If it is what we seen it is, what I'm saying? But we're not here, it's not too much to justify on. They're not here to justify what was done. We're here to try to find out where does the reform need to be placed? Why do we have that hatred between us and the police? Why is it Young Thug is allegedly connected to 50 bodies. He's allegedly connected to 50 bodies, women, children, mostly men, all probably black. And it's free Young Slime. It's free Young Slime. He got 50 bodies connected to him. Probably the greatest serial killer. It's free slime. But these officers we marching. We put these jokers under the jail. I'm saying that's what we should be. But why aren't we doing it for these rappers? Why aren't we doing it for these others when we in the midst of killing ourselves? And we can't say this is a black and white thing. This is all black. This is black on black crime. What's the difference? Why don't we have the same energy for locking up these criminals, these organized gang members, these gang members terrorizing our neighborhoods? Why ain't the same energy there? Why are we asking for, to free them, but we don't ask for these officers or some black men shooting black men? I'm saying we need to have the same energy. We need to have the same energy. The energy we putting on them all, we need to have that same energy for all these jokers. And again, where the hatred coming from, a lot of this hatred is coming from the music also. That F the Police by NWA. But then we have rappers now and probably back then, that they would hire the police. Got a lot of these gangster rappers that have hired police as their security. They pay the police swell, $100 an hour, $200 an hour to protect them. And then write songs about F the police. And then after the concert, hand the police an envelope and tell them thank you. It's an open panel, man. How many times have you told the police thank you? How many times, man, listen, you got some of these camps teaching, to hate the police and you shouldn't be a police officer. And if you are a police officer, you got to lead the camp. And then I seen situations come up where brothers are making accusations like they didn't do nothing. I went to leadership. You know, my husband was beating on me. I went to leadership, and leadership, the same leadership that told you can't be a cop, told the person, go call the cops. Your husband beating on you. I've counseled several situations where I've had to tell the individuals, man, if they do that, listen, you got to call the cops. That's what the cops are being paid to do. I don't get paid to get involved with that. I get involved with that, and something goes crazy, we can mess around and all of us be locked up. So in situations where we telling people on one hand, hey man, you know, don't be cops, don't deal with the cops. We hate the cops. The cops are working for the government. The government hate Israelites. They're gonna lock us all up. Da 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 da. The FBI spies about. You know, I seen one organization, man. They general left the FBI. And how can you reform something if you're not within it? That's why the scripture tells you to be a light. To be a light, but you telling all the light bearers not to go into these places that we feel are dark, that we feel are corrupt. Don't go in there, or you gonna get corrupt. Nah, if you have the light, you go in there to be the light, to maybe spark the reform. But you can't talk about the reform if you don't know what it is. You don't know what it's like. If you haven't put on that uniform and know what it's like to knock on these doors, to know what it's like to live as a police, to know what it's like to go home and your whole family hate you, when you a threat to everybody. If you don't know what that feel like, you can't give no questions on reform. You can't get no questions on reform. We got to deal with what we can control. Well, what can we control? What can we control? We can control ourselves. We can try to control our children. Try to control, you know, what we're meditating on. Because that's how the reformation ends up, you know, coming about. But if our children are, you know, or if they're meditating on F the police and hating the police and sticking middle fingers up to 12, if this is what they're looking at and meditating on, and this is their attitude toward the police, what do you think the police supposed to do? You ever save somebody that hates you? You ever pull somebody out of a burning fire that really hates you, that goes back and later and they're going to say, hey man, I hate this joker? Have you ever told the police thank you? Have you ever went down to the precinct and told a joker thank you? My dad was a police officer. He went into being a police officer at 60 years old. I asked him today, I was like, man, anybody ever told you thank you? Anybody ever came to the precinct? He said, nah. He said, years later, after I done retired, I had a few people come up and say, thank you. Man, you was about to lock me up. Man, you could have locked me up. I was driving with a suspended license. Man, all you did was gave me a ticket. Appreciate it. How many people been, you know, got pulled over and only got a warning? Did you tell them thank you? Did you go back to the precinct? Did you call and tell the precinct, man, he's doing a good job? How many know that they should have been locked up and the police officer ended up letting them go? I had a situation. Let me give you a situation. I had a situation. I'm telling you, I ain't never went to the precinct. I'll tell you, I always had the attitude of F12. I had a situation where I had a brother stand with me because he was in a domestic situation with his rib, and they separate, and he calls, hey man, you go kick it at my crib for whatever, you know, however long you need, man. You got to worry about nothing, man. And but the domestic situation came to my house. The domestic situation ended up coming to my house. My neighbor loved me enough to call the police. They didn't know what was going on. They hear a rumbling, and these jokers in there, you know, they not fighting. It's just really her just, you know, wailing on my partner, throwing canned goods and all kind of mess at my partner. I could see what was going on. I can, you know, he kind of had control of the situation, but at the same time, you know, he couldn't hit her back. So he just up there getting punished. And, you know, I was watching in the wrong spirit. I should have jumped in the middle of that and stopped her or called the police on that sister. But I was trying to let him handle it. But you know, the neighbors loved us enough, us enough to call the police because they feel like somebody's in danger. Somebody's in danger. So they call the police. The police coming, knowing somebody's in danger, and knock on the door. Now that's not even the end of the story. Once the police come, they see that she's the one that's the agitator, and he asked my partner, "Do you want to take her to jail?" He was like, "Nah, I want to take her to jail. Don't take her to jail." And she ended up taking the kids, and I'm watching my partner. He just wailing, just hollering, crying. You never seen a man cry like that. Never seen a man cry like that. The police officer, though, before this happens, the police officer searched the house. My partner had just bought a blunt. He finna roll it up in the back. Now, with a children's situation, when you got children involved, also I was in this bougie apartment complex. He was like, man, the dude was like, listen, man, you know, you got this weed back here. You got this little weed back here. If I say something to the police, you know, if I write you up for this and give it to the complex, you know, your children are in jeopardy. And, you know what I'm saying, this your partner crib. If I tell them we found drugs in there and we got a complaint, they're going to kick you out the apartments. Police didn't kick us out the apartments. All right, didn't make the complaint. After the situation was settled, and you know, they escorted her out with the kids. The officer, it was the black officers, he stayed about 45 minutes talking to my partner and trying to explain to him that he needs to get away from this woman. That he needs to get away from. And gave us some knowledge and showed mercy, and he leaves. Do you think I ever called that police department and told that man thank you? Did you think my partner ever told that man thank you? My partner just finalized his divorce. This is about almost 10 years ago. Just finalized his divorce and got full custody of his children. Does he owe that police officer thank you? Where does the hatred come from? Why is it still F12 even after all that happens? I done told many brothers and sisters certain stories, especially with police officers. One I be regurgitating the most is the fact that I almost shot one. I almost had locked in my head that I wasn't finna let this dude do me like Trey Nichols. And that's what a lot of us are going to pull from this video. Not this video that I'm doing, but the Trey Nichols video. A lot of us are going to pull like, nah, I'm not finna get Trey Nichols. I'm finna kill this joker first. They ain't finna do me. They ain't finna beat me to death. And this could be what they want you to think. This could be a device from the devil to keep the separation there. To keep you away from your greatest help. You know, besides thus says the Lord. Besides the Father and the Holy Spirit. But when you get in trouble, you gonna dial that 911. And you have no relation with these people outside of F12. And they know you hate them. That's why they stopped certain people. Like there was some Edomite man that used to go around and go help the people. And he had certain people that he helped and he was playing with them, playing with the kids. They told him to stop doing it. I know y'all remember that. Told him to stop doing that. Don't do that no more. Don't do that. We're going to show a little picture of a video right here. We're going to look at the people. And a lot of times, man, when we see this stuff, man, when we see it just be talking points for a lot of us. And we'll say, oh, man, it's the curses, man. So it's just a talking point. Where does the Reformation start? Let's look at this. Let me look at this. Let me share this video real here about these protests. About these protests here. I don't know if y'all can see that. See how many black people you see? How many black people?
Back up, we want freedom. freedom. All these racist ass cops, we don't need them, Say back up.
We want freedom, freedom. All these racist ass cops. We don't need them,
Back up. We want freedom. All these racist.
How many blacks did we see, man? That's what I say, man. I went to that KKK rally, and man, it was only 3-4 of us, and I drove 3. It was 3 of us that was in my car. When I got there, it's 1,000 white people, 3 black people. Where does the Reformation start? Do we really care? Do we really care, man? But see, just like the scripture says in John 3:20, man, the light hate darkness. I mean, the darkness hate light. Hold on, let me share my screen here, and we're gonna go to Blue Letter. We're gonna go to Blue Letter real quick before I mutilate that text. John 3. Do we need cops? The white people are saying we don't need them. They don't live in the communities we stay in. They don't live in the communities that we stay in. I remember, listen, man. I remember getting kicked out of these apartments because it was too much. What they said, it was too much traffic coming in and out. And I was over there selling drugs. And so it was too much traffic coming up. And I stayed at the cut where it connected to all the rest of the apartments over there off Central Drive. And they ended up kicking me out. And I'm sure everybody was happy. I'm sure everybody in the neighborhood glad this joker is up out of there. With all them jokers that he had in and out of his crib. Now they didn't put it on my credit or nothing like that. It was just a release. Like it was just, you got 30 days, y'all gotta be out of here. And so you can go get you, another spot or whatever. But if they call that other place, the next spot I went to, this one I was real young. Other spot I went to, I just told them I never stayed. I never stayed nowhere. And it wasn't on my credit, so they just, they throw you a little deposit, and then you gone. But when you have certain tyrants in your neighborhood, are you happy that they go? Are you happy in a neighborhood where you got a dope dealer terrorizing the neighborhood? Y'all remember that movie New Jack City? When they finally got Wesley, man, they finally got him in there, and a lot of the community was relieved, and then you had one of the community members end up shooting him. But when you have a tyrant out, do you tell the cops thank you? Do you go tell them thank you? When they saved you out of a certain situation, man, a life or death situation, you may not have thought it was a life or death situation in that moment, but then when you come back and you replay it, and you have an officer come and defuse a situation, did you ever tell them thank you? You ever go back and give them a gift card or something? Or is it still F12? Is it still F12? Why our kids are growing up, instead of them wanting certain, they want these kids now, they playing with those Orby guns. That they gotta fill the gun up with these little bullets, these little orbs. They gotta put them in water, and then they got 1,000 rounds. I done seen jokers, kids running around in neighborhoods I drive through. This apartment complex I drive through all the time, and the kids are, they playing. They ain't playing cops and robbers no more. I just, they probably just playing robbers and robbers. They just shooting each other now. It was a time that, kid would say that, but a kid will not say that today. Because of the people, and the people that they meditating on, they are hiring more cops than anybody. These rappers and these entertainers have more cops around them than anybody. They can't leave the house. They can't be in the house, some of them, without cops around them. They telling you don't snitch, don't snitch, don't snitch. And these rappers are snitching left and right, telling. That's why the only person that's promoting and calling the cops heroes is Charleston White. And how many people loving Charleston White? Why is he this viral sensation? Because we know, man. We know that, we need those cops. We know that we need those cops. I was giving this example while I was teaching this evening that we will sign our kids up for the military. Watch this now. We'll sign off for our kids to go to Ukraine, Afghanistan. We'll sign up for them to do that, and we'll take pictures with our children, and we'll be so proud of them for serving their country. We'll on Memorial Day, we'll see the soldiers with their hats on, and we'll tell them, man, we appreciate your service, even though they was in another country protecting some people there. They were protecting people in a whole nother country. They were policing a whole nother country on a whole nother continent. We say, man, we appreciate your service. Here is your day, and here is a free meal. I used to hate working Memorial Day, waiting tables. Them soldiers eat that food and get up and don't tip nothing. It was a day that I actually worked absolutely for free. Servers on Memorial Day, my goodness, leave them alone. Don't say nothing to them. Don't say nothing to a restaurant server on Memorial Day. Worst day to be at work. That and prom. Waiting on all these kids and they ain't tipping nothing. But anyway, we appreciate that, and we're proud that our child went over to serve this country. But if you ask that same parent, you ask that same mother, listen, I will give you twice the money. I give you twice the money for you to serve your own community, for you to be a police officer in DeKalb County or a police officer in Muskogee County and serve your community. You think she gonna post that and be proud? You think how many parents you seen at the graduation ceremony for the police academy? Black parents. And they posted up, my son just graduated from police academy. He's finna clean up the neighborhood. Because she thinks it's more dangerous. She thinks it's more dangerous. It's not only the danger part, but let's just deal with the danger part. She thinks it's more dangerous for her child to go over there, for her child to serve in her community, to serve the ghetto, than it is to go over there to the slums over there in Afghanistan and Pakistan. She feels it's more dangerous. How many, if you asked a panel of 100 black mothers or 100 black men, let's just say parents, of 100 parents, black parents, you asked them, would you let your son be a police officer? How many you think would say yeah? Would say, yeah, I would like my son to be a police officer. You got jokers that's been working security jobs for 20 years with a pistol, but won't be a police officer for $10 an hour, but won't be a police officer. They've been protecting a warehouse for 20 years, but won't be a police officer. Over here where I'm from in Muskogee County, the departments of correction, there is inside of the jail, the correction officers is 70+% women. 70+% women inside of the correctional facility in Muskogee County. 70% are women. And we're seeing more and more women within the police departments also. You're seeing more and more women there also. And so because men don't want to do it, because we have a culture that's teaching us not to be police officers, that gives us a hatred for police officers, we not gonna do it. But it's a lot of these places, a lot of the places, the slums, sometimes that's the best opportunities that you have. You probably not gonna make 40K, start out at 40K or 50K nowhere else. You probably not. But you don't want to be seen as a cop. Nobody want to be seen in that cop uniform. Just like nobody wants to be seen as a snitch. Nobody wants to be seen as the one that's telling and the one that's correcting. And this is why a lot of us don't want to teach. This is why a lot of us don't want to be out there giving no rebuke and correction. All right? Because, this and the next level, from what we do, if we out there doing it correctly, there's only 1 or 2 steps later from a police officer. You just ain't putting them in the car and you ain't giving them no judgment. You're showing them mercy. You're telling them to come to the place that they can receive mercy, but you are calling out their faults. But you're not taking them in and actually judging them. The police, they taking you in, they make that accusation, and then, the judge ultimately judge you on that. You just ain't getting judged about it. Are we right for doing that? Are we right for saving? And then you ever save somebody? You ever come to help somebody that hate you? Christ died on the cross for people that hate him. Stephen stoned to death from people that hate him. And he's out there trying to save their life, out there trying to give them the gospel. How many times we done got guns pulled out on us for trying to preach the gospel, for trying to give correction? This is why they hate us. Why don't we have sympathy for the police? If we know the same reason they hate us is the same reason they hate the police, but just on a higher extent, because the police really do judge. They really do put you in a cage. They really do put you in captivity. And that's why we hate the word. We hate thus says the Lord. But us knowing that, how do we have this hatred? Why don't we have an appreciation for the cops? Why, if we are in the most crime-ridden area within the city, why don't we have an appreciation for the police? Then we say, why they so late? I called the police. It take them 40 minutes, 45 minutes. How do you change that? Because they don't care. The police officers, this is my speculation, I don't know, but this is what I think, is that the police officers don't care. They come and they see a certain neighborhood they got to go into, they're like, flying down the road, oh man, you need to stop at Quick Trip, get some coffee for this trash. I'm finna go to talk to these folk, man. These folk probably gonna be throwing all kinds of stuff at me, F the police, But then in certain neighborhoods, jokers is quick on the draw. Quick on the draw. How did your community feel about police? If your community haven't had, okay, something happened in Memphis, but if your community that protect and serve you haven't had, they've gone years without having those kind of incidents, did you tell them thank you? Have you told them thank you? Have you went by there? Have you told them that you're in support of them? Did you even get the little blue sticker to put on your bumper? To tell them, to help them get vests and all this stuff? And did you make a donation? Did you get your arms? And see, you'll give your arms to a organization that's telling you that you can't be a cop. And then turn around when the situation comes, they say, man, you need to call the cops. Now imagine if in our organization we had brothers and sisters that were living thus says the Lord, Imagine in that Tyree Nichols situation that you had somebody that was a light out of those 5 officers. If you just had one that was a light in the midst of those 5 officers, he wouldn't be dead, man. Because they would have known that they can't do that around that individual. They got that individual there with him. He know he gonna go back to the captain. He gonna write the report a certain way. He gonna try to step in. But nah, man, if you keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, you can't be in the police department. You can't serve your community. You can't do that. That's against the Lord. Cornelius was a what? The centurion, what was he? They fighting for who? Come on, man. Come on now. They say he was devoted, but he's a guard. He's a police officer. The centurion is he's a police officer. They say he was righteous. They say he was devout. Say he was a commandment. Say he had a good report. How many police officers you know by name? How many can you call personally without having to call the police? See, if you had a police officer, say if you had 50 members inside your camp and 2 of them were police officers, situations happen, you can call the police before you call the police. To make sure you don't have those type of police that arrive with Nichols. You can have somebody inside of the organization to say, you know what, this joker here, Officer Williams, Officer Thomas, Officer Smith, you need to stay away from them jokers. When them jokers pull you over, you need to have a watchful eye. You don't think they inside our organizations? Come on now. You don't think they inside our organizations watching and doing what we doing? This is what all I'm asking, man. All I'm asking is where does the reformation start from? Once we know where the hatred comes from, we can start reforming it. We can start reforming it. Like I said, I was trying to make it an open panel. But brothers and sisters really don't want to talk on this talk, man. We just want to, police, man, and then that'd be it. That'd be the end of the conversation. How did that help your child? How does that conversation help de-escalate the situation, de-escalate the tension between civilian and police officer? How does that stop the anxiety that your child gonna feel, or that your husband gonna feel, or your wife gonna feel when the police get behind them? Did you tell the police thank you? Have you ever told them thank you? Do you think they deserve a thank you? Or they just, oh man, you this is my tax money. You got to do this. You got to do your job. And again, man, I'm not here to justify what went on. I say, man, I pray they get the, if they found guilty on all charges, that they get life in prison. That they put up under the jail. But I'm not going to take that stance and then also come around and say free slime. And free all these other jokers around here and listening to music. Come on now. We up here listening to music of people confessing to killing these individuals. We making them millionaires. We're making murderers who come about and brag about their murders. We're making them millionaires. Some of them billionaires. And our children are then meditating on it and want to be exactly like a Lil Durk. Exactly like a King Von. Exactly like a Lucci. Exactly like a Slime Boss, Young Thug. And we go crazy anytime we see these individuals. And we hate the people that lock them up. We hate those people. Where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? And should it be there? Should we start making that reformation? Should the reformation start with us in our relations with the police? Should we start knowing these individuals? Introducing them. Let me talk to them. Where you stay? Let me talk to your family. Let me see the attitude. Only time we want to get an officer's name is when we about to get hemmed up by him. Thinking that we got some kind of rights. Thinking that we can go tell on these folks. Man, the whole system corrupt. Then let's talk about the other side. You know, why do they have that hatred? Where's the reformation start with them? We got young officers come in and they getting promoted because they beat up on somebody. They have a culture within the police department of, you know, they can't wait to get the opportunity to beat you up, man. We understood that if we ran from the police, man, if they catch you, you finna get beat up, man. You finna go, you ain't finna go in that police department unscathed. Your eye probably gonna be swollen. You're probably gonna drop a couple elbows on you. It's gonna be some some unnecessary force if you run. We understood that. We knew that. We knew the risk. But a lot of us did make it home. Unfortunately, this brother didn't make it home. You know, that what they did out there, they've done several times. They done to several individuals. This was a special squad. This was a special squad, just like training day. See, a lot of us love training day because the cop was crooked. We ain't like that. We ain't like the white boy, man. We ain't like Ethan Wolf. We ain't like that. We like Jake, man. We liked it Denzel, man. Because he was a little crooked. That was the only cop we really liked. Because he just had a little wickedness to him. We love that. Had a little wickedness to him. He drove a Monte Carlo, drove my dream car. Like, what's the psyche between our people wanting to drive in police cars? They want to ride the Crown Vics and the Impalas. Any police car model that the police have, what's the psyche behind us wanting to drive those same cars? Is it the authority? What's the power? Like, what is it? Why are we the only nation of people that want to drive the same cars the police drive? I ain't got the answer. I just wonder, what is that? What are those relations? Then sometimes you thinking the police behind you, then it's Jake behind the wheel. With 2 12s in the trunk. Your darn heart done jump through your chest, thinking 12 on your back, and it's Jake back there. Car still painted the same police color. What is the psyche behind that? What is the psyche behind that? So again, man, I think this all comes down to just, us having to reform our culture, the culture of and that's what we can control. You really can't control what policies go down. It ain't a policy. It's a fear on both sides. It's a hatred on both sides. There are racist police officers within that culture that have influenced even black officers. The racist culture inside of the precinct has even influenced black officers. Why? Why has it influenced? Because them the only people they can hang with. They only can hang with other officers because everybody else hate them. They can't go to the family reunion. All y'all want to do, everybody smoking Everybody smoking man, and getting drunk. Man, you can't be around that, But see, that's why too you'd rather be go to the military than be a police officer. Because in the military they can come back, kick the bubble with you, hit the club, and drink and smoke and so forth. A lot of these cops, man, they know you cop. They won't even let you in the club. I know you're a cop. They don't want you to be around. So all they can hang around is cops. And if it's three of them, if it's three or four black cops, and it's 50 white cops, and them the only people that they can hang around with, they're going to be influenced. They're going to marry white women, and they're going to take on the ideology of white people. They're going to hear all the white jokes and do the little, initially they're going to have the little funny looking laugh, like they, the little, it's like a little chuckle, but you offended a little bit, but you kind of chuckle it off like, ha, 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 ha. And then eventually they continue to get influenced, and then they start making the jokes themselves. They start bragging about how many Negroes they got to kick upside the head today, and start drinking coffee. So the influence coming on both sides. For one, we don't want to go in there and we don't want to be police officers. For two, to those that go in there to be police officers, we telling them, we separating and isolating them, we annexing them from the family, from the community. Then on the other side, you got racist cops that go in there for that purpose, to jump on Negroes, and they are influenced because they have nobody else to talk to. They are influenced by these white officers and try to do things to make themselves acceptable in the eyes of these white people. That's why you had a whole team, the Scorpion Squad. How is 5 Negroes on one call? How is it 5 Negroes? Ain't no white people at? We're like, what are white people? How many white people on the Scorpion team? Now they're saying, yeah, we dismantled this Scorpion team. Well, what is it, man? Who are all the members on the Scorpion team? What is that? And it sounded like you had to get this, like you some secret right, just like training day. You got to go in there. You got to do certain things, prove yourself, man. Hit this dope. Let me make sure I can trust you. And they talking different. They not talking. Them folks ain't talk. That Scorpion team, they weren't talking like no darn police officers. They weren't talking like police officers. They were talking like Jake. These were undercover. This is undercover stuff. This is They talking like Jake. But I yield, y'all. I just wanted to get that little rant off me, man. That thing been on me since I was out there, man. Because I try to just look at things for what it is. But again, if we not going to really deal with seriously on how we can reform this, not talking about something we can't control. What can we control? And I think our attitude towards the police, and that can only happen with us talking to these police. We had this one police officer in high school. Everybody knew him, Officer Lightning. We know him to this day. When he died, everybody put, rest in peace, Officer Lightning. Because he was known. You know what I'm saying? He was known within the school. Everybody in high school, everybody who went to Carver, they knew him. And so when we grew up and we would see Officer Lightning, he was cool, dapping everybody up, Those relations were built early with us and Officer Lightning. And then when we grew up and we got in trouble or we were caught smoking weed, you see a group of us smoking weed, Officer Lightning didn't take us in. Officer Lightning made us stomp it out and throw it in the trash. And check us and throw all our dope out and throw it in the trash before he would take it from us. But he didn't lock us up. So Officer Lightning, he was cool because, Officer Lightning had that relation with the community, but he also was showing us mercy. He was showing us mercy. And for some of us, it was used wisely, but for some of us, it made us even more of a tyrant. Made us even more of a tyrant. I'm gonna give y'all this last example. My dad told me one time, he took a brother in. A brother wanted to turn himself in. He called my dad. And my dad took him in, told him, man, come on, man, get on in the car, man. He got in the car, he took him in. He didn't put handcuffs on him. And he brought him in without the handcuffs on him. And the police department got mad and moved him from the south side, from the area that he knew, because everybody would see the car in the yard, they would know Officer King. And he had these relations. He was too friendly. They told him he was too friendly to be on the south side. And initially, from one stance, you'll say to yourself, well, that's messed up, man. That's messed up that he would do that. Initially, that's what I took. That's the stance I took. That's the stance my father took also. He thought it was trifling for them to do that and take him and put him somewhere else. He thought it was a racist move. But then when I thought about it today, I was like, well, it's still a criminal. And you got a criminal who's behind you. That's behind you in a police car with no handcuffs on. That can just shoot you in the back of the head. That can shoot you in the back of the head. That's against protocol. Yeah, that's mercy, and they you could talk to the people and do all that, but that is against protocol. What happens if that situation would have turned and that man would have shot you in the head and changed his mind and said, nah, I ain't going down, and drove the car somewhere else. And then I had to look at it another way. I say, well, that is against protocol. I mean, you need to have him in handcuffs for your protection. Just in case. He trusted you enough to call you, but just in case, man, put him in handcuffs and get him down there so y'all both can, he can get in safely. You make sure don't nobody jump on him or do nothing to him, but you can make sure that you get home safely also. And with that, I yield, y'all, man. Like I said, I was just having an open panel. Just wanted to have a dialogue. Feel free. You can comment. Make sure y'all hit that like button on the way out. And just sit down and think, what can we do? What can we do to, bridge the gap or the separation between civilian and police officers? And why do we have such a disdain? Is it a healthy disdain that we have for police officers when ultimately that's our last help? Do we need police officers? Is that something? Do we want to live? Would one rather live in a community that has no police officers? And if that answer is no, then why are we discouraging our kids and discouraging individuals not to be police officers? With that, I yield, man. I pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. Shalom.